Live in the human paradise. Breathe the pure air of heaven. Longevity, vitality, and a lifetime of bliss.
住在人间小天堂，呼吸天堂纯气，延寿长生，幸福一生。
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's start with something pretty provocative today. What if that feeling of exhaustion, the fuzzy memory, the bad mood, what if you blame it on getting older, but it's not actually aging at all, that whole I'm just getting old thing we tell ourselves. Maybe it's something else entirely. So today we are really digging into this. We've got some fascinating source material. It's called Aging as Failed Recovery. It's specifically from something titled Master's Insight, #108, and the authors are Fuchi Wu and Dage. It's pretty radical stuff.
It really is. And our mission here essentially is to explore this this core idea they put forward. It's quite shocking, actually. They're suggesting that most of what we perceive as getting older, the daily grind, the symptoms, isn't senescence. It's just damage, accumulated damage that never got repaired. They keep calling it failed recovery. And they argue that if you grasp this, it's like a shortcut to understanding what they call, and this is a quote, the fundamental solution to the human long-term aging myth.
That framing, failed recovery, it just changes everything, doesn't it? It flips aging from this, inevitable biological clock ticking down to more of an environmental problem, a maintenance issue almost. And look, if there's one thing to really latch onto from our deep dive today, it's the phrase they want you to remember. I'm not getting old, I've just never recovered. It really shifts the focus, right? From our biology failing us to maybe our environment, our habits, failing our biology.
Exactly. And this isn't just some abstract theory they came up with. They actually root this whole idea in a very specific, very acute experience. They describe it almost like a deliberate experiment on the self. Designed, they say, for human awakening.
Right, like they needed to feel the absolute worst case scenario to understand what real recovery or the lack of it felt like.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about this experiment. What's the setup?
Well, it sounds simple, but the implications are pretty chilling, as you said in the outline. The author was told before bed to manually turn down the fan speed on their home ventilation system, really low. And the source notes they knew intellectually that fresh air equals life. They understood that. But they voluntarily did it anyway, essentially sealed themselves into this low airflow room overnight.
And they actually called the environment they created a low-toxin micro-asphyxiation environment.
Oh, that sounds deliberate.
Oh, absolutely deliberate. A sealed room, very poor air circulation, the AC, just cycling the same stale air. They were basically setting up a situation to sabotage the body's natural nightly repair processes, a test of failed recovery.
Wow. Okay, so what happened? What did they feel when they woke up? Must have been rough.
Rough is putting it mildly. The source is very specific about the symptoms. This wasn't just feeling a bit groggy. First, a completely blocked nose, unable to breathe through it at all.
Okay.
Then, a severe headache, which they described graphically as feeling like brain swelling. Plus, chest tightness and just this heavy, unpleasant sensation all through the body. Basically, all sense of physical comfort was just gone.
That sounds awful. It's not just didn't sleep well. It's like feeling physically assaulted by the environment. Precisely. And here's the kicker, the part that really underscores their whole failed recovery point. It took a full 5 hours after waking up. 5 hours for the author to just gradually get back to what they considered their normal baseline state.
5 hours just to feel normal again after one night?
Yes. 5 hours just to undo the damage from that single night of poor air quality. That acute experience, that immediate feedback loop of failure, that was the light bulb moment for them.
That's staggering. I mean, if you feel off after a bad night's sleep, you might blame it on stress or maybe eating late.
Yeah.
But taking 5 hours just to function normally, that implies half your productive day is just spent playing catch-up from the night before.
That's exactly the realization they came to. It wasn't, the body suddenly getting older overnight. It was environmental poisoning leading directly to a systemic failure to repair. And this led them to draw a really key distinction in the language they use, what we casually call aging or getting worse. They say it's actually never reset, not aging, but never reset. Right. And it's not degeneration. It's a long-term inability to repair. See the difference? It's a system failing to maintain itself, not the hardware itself inevitably breaking down.
That completely reframes it. So that chronic fatigue, the brain fog, maybe even feeling irritable. We blame age or work stress. But they're arguing the real culprit hidden in plain sight, is actually our sleep environment. Specifically, poor sleep quality caused by, what do they call it, toxic gas and lack of oxygen.
Yes. They connected this daily experience to the bigger picture, and they used some really strong language here. They described this common situation, sleeping in poorly ventilated rooms, waking up feeling less than great, accepting it as normal as a kind of chronic suicide.
Wow, chronic suicide. That's intense.
It is. The implication is that you assume you're just tired from life, but really, your body's crucial nightly repair cycle has collapsed. You didn't fully recover.
So just sleeping with the windows closed, maybe the heating or cooling are recirculated. That's potentially doing long-term harm.
According to this source, yes. They detail this chain reaction of how repair fails in that typical closed, low airflow bedroom. They call it a civilized pathology, something so common in modern life we mistake it for normal.
Okay, break down that chain reaction for us. What's happening in that sealed room while we sleep?
Right. They pinpoint 3 key environmental factors that cascade. First, oxygen deprivation. It's simple physics, right? You're in a sealed box, breathing. Oxygen levels steadily drop overnight if there's no fresh air coming in.
Makes sense.
And the source claims this is critical. Insufficient oxygen reaching the brain prevents it from initiating deep sleep. You know, the really restorative phases, REM and deep non-REM sleep. Without enough O2, your brain just can't go into that deep repair mode properly.
So it's like trying to run complex software updates on a computer with low power. It just can't do the job.
That's a good analogy. It stays on, maybe, but the essential maintenance doesn't happen. Then comes the second factor, CO2 accumulation.
Right, we breathe out carbon dioxide.
Exactly. And in that sealed room, it builds up. CO2 isn't just inert. It acts as a stressor on the central nervous system. And they argue this is what triggers those physical symptoms. The author felt so acutely. The nasal congestion, the headache, the foggy thinking when you wake up, it's your body reacting to the CO2 stress.
So waking up stuffy. It might not be allergies or a cold starting, but your body literally reacting to the bad air.
That's the interpretation here, yes. It's a physiological stress response. And finally, the third piece, suspended toxins.
What does that mean? Like dust?
Dust, yeah, but also VOCs, volatile organic compounds, from furniture, carpets, paint, any microscopic particles floating in the air. In a sealed room, these just accumulate all night long. So your respiratory system, your immune system, they're constantly battling this low-level toxic load while also trying to do all the cellular repair work. It's overload.
Okay, so oxygen drops, CO2 climbs, toxins build up. Yeah. It's a triple whammy against recovery.
Precisely. It prevents deep sleep, stresses the nervous system, and overloads the immune system.
Which really puts a new perspective on feeling groggy in the morning. The source says you aren't waking up, quote, fully resurrected. You're just toughing it out to keep living. That's quite a statement.
It is. And they have another quote that's even more stark, they claim. You wake up every day as the result of an incomplete death.
An incomplete death. Wow. That frames morning fatigue in an almost existential way.
I think that's the intent, to shock you into seeing the severity. If your body didn't purge, repair, and reset overnight, you're carrying yesterday's metabolic death, the waste products, the damage into the new day. It's incomplete. And they argue this isn't just about feeling tired or needing coffee. They see this widespread chronic failure to repair as deeply serious. They call it a hidden disaster, impacting us on a species level. Species degradation.
A hidden disaster. It sounds like hyperbole, maybe.
Yeah.
But if most people are sleeping in these kinds of conditions, these civilized pathologies, then maybe this subtle environmental failure is a widespread baseline problem we just accept.
That's their argument. And it leads to the big question, what are the long-term consequences of failing to repair night after night? This is where they make that dramatic leap. Aging, as we experience it, isn't a slow, inevitable decline. It is, quote, the sum of daily failed repair accumulation.
So like interest compounding on a debt you never pay off.
Exactly like that. Each night you fail to fully reset, you carry a small debt of unrepaired damage forward. Over years, decades, that debt compounds. And the symptoms of that compounding debt, the wrinkles, the aching joints, the memory lapses, the fatigue, that's what we call aging.
So those aren't just random signs of time passing. They're physical evidence of repair bankruptcy, essentially.
That's the concept. And because they see it as so fundamental and so environmentally driven, they call for a major shift in public understanding, an educational shift. They state very clearly, we must be educated about this simple equation. Too low fan speed, trapped toxic gas, repair failure.
It makes the potential solution seem almost absurdly simple, technically better ventilation. But it requires a huge mental shift in how we view our homes, our bedrooms.
It does. It's not about a new pill or superfood. It's about managing the air you breathe for a third of your life. An infrastructure problem, really.
Which brings us back to their ultimate goal, the core message they want to hammer home. It's that phrase again.
You are not getting old. You simply never woke up.
Meaning you never woke up fully repaired, fully reset.
Exactly. It's meant to be provocative, an awakening call. Because if aging is just accumulated unrepaired damage, well, then maybe repair is possible. Maybe decline isn't inevitable. It offers hope.
And that leads to their final, really grand claim, connecting back to that human long-term aging myth.
Yes. They conclude that the day people truly start to recognize this link, the day we collectively understand that aging unrepaired, on that day they claim human lifespan will start to reverse.
Reverse? That's a bold claim.
Extremely bold. It suggests that the limits we perceive on lifespan aren't necessarily fixed biological ceilings, but perhaps consequences of this chronic environmental repair failure we've overlooked.
So we've been focusing on diet, exercise, supplements, all important, no doubt.
But potentially missing the most foundational piece, the quality of our nightly reset, which is literally being choked off by the air we breathe while we sleep.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the core takeaway for you listening right now? It's this. That persistent fatigue, the brain fog, maybe even your mood. It might not be the unavoidable price of getting older. This source forcefully argues it could be a direct, measurable result of your body failing to detoxify and repair itself each night due to your sleep environment, specifically air quality.
And we can leave you with that final thought from the source, something to really mull over tonight. The way you wake up every day is the result of the success or failure of your toxin repair from the night before. It's a daily scorecard.
So here's a final thought to chew on. If this source has even a kernel of truth, what tiny thing in your bedroom right now, maybe it is just the fan setting, or a window that's always closed, that slight lack of fresh air, what are you overlooking that could be stopping your body from hitting that full reset button each night? What if that's what's quietly driving what you just assume is aging? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
The Air 6 Free Maze Purifier is the world's only device that truly filters toxic airborne particulates and aerosols. Its core design returns the duty of air cleaning to machines, so people no longer act as living filters. Air 6 Free means dust-free, germ-free, toxin-free, smoke-free, odor-free, and heavy metal-free. 5 purification steps. Step 1: Ionization zone. Dual electrostatic pre-filters. Captures dust, pollen, plastic, microparticles, VOCs, and toxic gases. Step 2: Secondary ionization stage. Neutralizes pathogens and toxins. Charges all remaining particles and aerosols negative. Prepares them for final capture. Step 3: Electrostatic collection maze box. The sacrificial black box permanently locks away ultrafine pollutants. Aerosol droplets lose water in airflow. Residual toxins deposit onto positive plates. Solidly plated, irreversibly fixed. Step 4: Maze effect. Forces airflow through repeated sharp turns. Nanotoxins collide with surfaces and are completely absorbed. Step 5: Output pure, toxin-free, pure air. System delivers the purest air on Earth. Dust-free, germ-free, toxin-free. Smoke-free, odor-free, heavy metal-free. Conclusion: this is more than a filter. It is the one true key to unlocking humanity's lifespan shackles.